Unwanted background noise is something that almost all of us have had to deal with. If you've ever recorded the perfect vocal take in your apartment and then realized that the refrigerator was running the entire time, you'll know the frustration that can cause. And that's why we created the Dialog denoiser plugin. Now, this is a tool that's trained to know specifically what the human voice sounds like, and it's going to remove everything else that's not the voice. So this is perfect for cleaning up noisy dialogue in podcasts. It's really good for cleaning up noisy sung vocals. Let's take a look at Dialog denoise and see how it functions within a podcast session. So in this podcast, we have 3 different dialogue tracks, and the issue is that one of them was recorded in a very noisy location. It might have been in an office or an apartment, but we've got a lot of background noise that's very distracting and takes us out of the listening experience. So take a listen.
Stereo imaging is a tough task. It's typically only used in specific situations and often very gently. It's difficult to get a cohesive mix that still has a sense of space and imaging.
So we're going to use Dialog denoise to remove some of this background noise so that way the dialogue's clearer and it's less distracting. So one thing we're going to want to keep in mind is our signal flow. If we were to put a compressor on first, that's going to increase the noise floor in between words and phrases. So you'll see that I have Nectar here for compression. We're going to move that down a little bit so we can denoise first before hitting the compressor. So we'll go into Audio Units, iZotope, and to our Dialog denoise plugin. Now you'll see it's a very simple looking plugin. Really, you just have a few controls you need to worry about. There's 2 different modes, manual and auto. We have the threshold and the reduction amount, and then simply the input and output. Now, in this recording, since the background noise is pretty steady state, like it stays pretty much the same throughout, we're going to use the manual mode. If this was an evolving background noise, like traffic going on outside, the auto mode might be a good option for that. So I'm going to hit learn. And that's captured that profile so it knows what to look for. And now we pretty much just adjust the threshold and reduction amount until we get the result we want.
Stereo imaging is a tough task. It's typically only used in specific situations and often very gently. It's difficult to get a cohesive mix that still has a sense of space and imaging. Usually, the over-application of effects makes it all the more difficult to image.
So one thing to keep in mind is that you'll often want to attenuate the noise floor some, but not completely remove it, as that could sound unnatural. And in this case, we're getting about 12.9 decibels of noise reduction while still maintaining all of the natural sounding dialogue. And now this is going to sound much more similar to the other audio tracks in this podcast.